Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, August 29th, and later today, since we're starting early right now with my sleep schedule being shifted in another way, will be the episode 1000 of Hearthstone. So we made it. We made it to 1,000 episodes of Hearthstone, whether I like it or not. Now, in all realisticness, that means I more than likely have recorded closer to 3,000 or 4,000 hours of Hearthstone, and potentially have played closer to 5, maybe 6,000 hours, because there's a lot of times I haven't played Hearthstone. I think 6 would probably be pushing it. We've got 2 daily quests to do, and this will come back in less than a half hour, so Tavern Brawl is going to be a problem. But I do want to start streaming and getting through the news. I want to have an abbreviated experience, as I often do. Get everything done, so I guess Priest or Warlock is what we can pick. I finished The Walking Dead: The New Frontier, Season 3. Priest or Warlock. Let's try a Zoo Warlock in standard play. There we go. I really was disappointed in the New Frontier for The Walking Dead. I just don't feel like the story mattered at all. For as repetitive as Season 2 may have been, kind of just doing the same thing that Season 1 did poor, Season 3 did something different, but didn't have us play as Clementine, so she's just a secondary character. I guess technically you do get to play as her in some flashbacks that last a few minutes at most. So for advertising reasons you can play as Clementine, but for realistic reasons you don't. 90% of all the other characters totally just died. Like, there's nothing else to even say there. They straight up just died throughout the process of the game. It doesn't feel like that the New Frontier's endings were very varied. It feels like maybe there was one small section that could have played out differently, where you would have ended up in a different area doing a different thing in the 5th episode. But the first 3 episodes are almost 100% pointless. The characters are terribly written and don't have any characterization. I did not care for any of them at all, which is definitely a big problem when you compare it to, say, The Walking Dead Season 1, where you're very, very interested in protecting and caring for Clementine, and thus through that interest you're very interested in getting along and dealing with all the other characters in episode 1. It just really wasn't the same case, even though the story is rather similar to episode 1. Yeah, very frustrating trying to deal with one of the main antagonists in the story, because he certainly kept talking the talk but not walking the walk as far as reforming himself. So you would have these conversations where it felt like you had progressed and there was a chance you weren't going to end up having to kill this person just to eliminate them as a threat, and that's just, it didn't matter. Like, nothing you would say in a conversation would ever end up mattering at all. Instead, you would just always be in this position where he would say, yes, I'll get better, and then in the next scene he would not get better. He would still antagonize and cause danger and conflict for the greater group. To the point where I tried to kill him just by failing a quick time event, and it didn't let me do that. Let's see. Restore 4 health. Let's see. This one. And this one. Then in the turn. I don't even really know if there's too much more to say. Clementine's journey is nothing in the entire season. She maybe slightly and particularly randomly grows as a character, but that's all I think I could really say. Alright, now if I play this, play this, draw 3 cards and discard them at the end of the turn. I don't see a real reason to do that. So yeah, I'm done with The Walking Dead. The only like licensed music in the entire game is over the credits at the last episode. So that's actually really poor placement of music, since it's not tying you into the story or getting you interested in the story. So yeah, that also sucked. A lot of things in general sucked. Let's see. Free me. Now we can start smacking this guy in the face. In the turn. And that, now that I'm done with The Walking Dead, that leaves me with time to now upload those videos, schedule all of the Hearthstone solutions for the Boomsday Puzzle Lab, which the first episode of that has now aired, and because it is aired and gotten like 4 views, I think it was what I saw, which isn't great views. It still is double what I get from any other previously recorded footage. So knowing that, there's definitely something there to be happy about. Let's see. If I do this, and do this, and then do this, and then play this, and then play that for free, and can we kill somebody else on the field? Free me! Yeah. Okay. Free me! Someone a copy of this minion. Okay. So that's all that was gonna do ever. That's a relatively newer card, so I'm not 100% solid. Bonus star. Good. And that's one daily quest element done, and I haven't even started to think about talking about the news. Yeah, I'm gonna let's continue to streak and play Zoo Warlock some more. Spend a lot of extra effort uploading that. I've done some work and found out something interesting with OBS. There is a plugin called Advanced Scene Switcher, which is different than Automatic Scene Switcher. And so I can use a quick key. You could always do this to change the video input to a source, a different source, a different profile. Right now we're looking at the Hearthstone source, which shows Hearthstone. What I can do, I figured out, is I can press a toggle key that will switch to an outro source that will automatically load an outro video at the end of these streams and any other pre-recorded footage. It'll automatically load that outro. It'll play that outro. It's I can time it so that after a certain amount of time, it will move from playing the outro section, outro video, to a third scene, which this is where it gets complicated. So it goes from the original scene of recording the game to a second scene that is playing the outro. Once the outro scene has been activated for for whatever second amount I program, it will then move to a third scene that is just called in, and I've programmed it so that whenever that scene is activated, advanced scene switcher automatically stops the recording. So in streaming Hearthstone in particular, this would mean after an hour I would hit that key, it would stop the stream and stop the recording. I would then quickly hit the start recording streaming again function, which is what you would want to have happen, so that I could continue to stream, and I assume YouTube would not really complain about that too much, because it does seem like it takes several minutes of YouTube not getting any streaming data before it decides the stream was ended. Or maybe it would just stop the stream and we'd start another stream. That would kind of suck, definitely, and I'd have to think about that some more. But there's definitely ways to fix that. Now, in part of the way of setting this up, as soon as I have the outro recorded and a few more configurations going, and the outro would automatically play, and no more of me wasting my breath repeating myself, saying the same things at the end of every recording. To get that to work, though, there is an issue of wanting the audio to be recorded and not recorded in specific points. So like right now, both the microphone audio and the desktop audio want to be recorded, but when the outro video is playing, only the video audio should be recorded, so not the desktop or not the microphone. I'd want those two muted, and at the end screen nothing's going to record because it's just going to hit stop and stop recording. So to do that in OBS, it's kind of a backwards way in which you accomplish this, but it is something you can do. You mute the desktop and the microphone by default, and then you add the desktop and the microphone back as virtual references to it as audio sources. So that you add the desktop as an audio output source, you add the microphone as an audio input source, and that's what you're hearing right now, which also means I had to get the noise filter reestablished, but I think it's working perfectly fine. Somebody would have to let me know in the chat if it isn't. If you're hearing like background noise of an air conditioner or some just general room noise in my stream, which more than likely, even if you were hearing that, it's pretty possible that you're hearing it in your own room. And so on games like Hearthstone, you have the virtual desktop and the virtual microphone. On the outro scene, you don't have either one of those, so they're just muted by default. And on the end scene, you don't have anything programmed at all. It just needs to be an empty scene. So it's really, really interesting how I had to dance around that to get it to work. Unfortunately, I would still say OBS is short and light on plugins and short and light on features, but as I'm working to set it up, this will add a incredibly large and good amount of automation to my process. no longer what originally when making an outro, the thing that was actually stopping this from happening before this point was the idea of using video editing software to attach the outro to everything. I have a couple programs that are combined to be called the MP3 tools or MP4 tools. Yeah, it's MP4. And MP4 tools are MP4 split and MP4 join. It changes. It doesn't re-encode the videos, so you run into a nice setup where you don't have to take a lot of time to merge two videos or split two videos into parts. It's very, very fast. Whereas if I was using something like Sony Vegas Pro or what is it, Adobe Premiere or any video editing tool that has a more recognizable name, Blender potentially could be used if you can figure it out. Those would take a really, really long time because they would look at every single frame of the video and re-encode it back into a new file, which takes forever. And that's what most YouTubers do, and often they do jump cuts and more effort is applied to make their footage look a little bit more polished at the expense of a lot more work.
How long
and
can this go on? How long can this go on?
I'm simply just not willing to do that extra amount of work. And maybe there are goals on my Patreon, which the Patreon information I spent a lot of time, I'm not sure if I want to call it effort, readjusting all of my old videos so the Patreon links are now supposedly in every video. If you see a video description that is all messed up terribly, let me know. I know particularly some of that first stuff before Witcher 3, stuff that was recorded on my Windows laptop instead of my PC. I know that stuff is not labeled the same way because for the hardware setup description it's different. I could probably win right now. Actually, I can win this way anyways. Just denying me that final blow. Win streak is continuing. I don't want to break the win streak. Like, I've got all the daily quests done already. Let's just keep on playing. Well, let's just play until we lose. If Zoo Warlock gets me up to Legendary in some insane way, I'll just play all day. So what was I talking about?
Gul'dan versus Jaina.
Yeah, I changed the description. I probably screwed up some things. I definitely know in the process I screwed up a lot of things, and I did not follow procedures, or in the way I followed procedures I did it wrong. So I'm imagining that the text is pretty badly set for a lot of videos, but hopefully not too many. I have over 6,000 videos on my feed. If it turns out that let's say 100 of those are mislabeled and they are all in the same series, that's pretty easy to go back and fix if I ever find it. It's also pretty easy to ignore. Would have been fine to simply not change the old ones if it weren't for the fact that this was adding donations and donation links, which I do want the Patreon to be visible, because the Patreon is now visible now. What got me into this whole statement in the first place was the idea of setting goals, and I would have to sit down and think about it. But there is definitely room to say, hey, if my Patreon feed was getting, say, $2,000-$3,000 a month, I'll hire a full-time assistant who makes thumbnails, who's an artist, and also schedules all my videos and also edits all my videos. That's certainly asking a lot of money for something that I'm sure a lot of people would not really think is necessary. There is also a point there, if I'm going to pay somebody $3,000 or $4,000 a month, which to work full time, maybe at some point I should also pay myself that much first. I mean, that argument I think could definitely be made. And that's the problem with goals and just like on Patreon is, what would my first goal be? Do I need an artist who makes thumbnails, or do I need an assistant who schedules everything? Can I find that same person? Can I find a person even if I had the money to work for me? That certainly would be an issue too. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of people who will say that they can get the job done, and will get the job done, but the number of people that actually would get the job done is a much smaller percentage there of that group. I think thumbnails are still very much an important thing that needs to be done. Going back and putting better thumbnails on all my old videos might help them get some views in the old days, but the main focus would definitely just have thumbnails for new series. I could certainly buy into the argument that the old series are a lost cause at this point. Leftmost minion in the hand. Let's just keep on playing this and doing this, and then return. Let's start covering the video game news. Because this might be a short stream. PC Gamer has an article. Family Man is a morality tale about owing money to the mob. It's like Minecraft, but plays like something else entirely. Like Minecraft in the sense that it is that same old blocky asset flip looking animation, that anytime I see a game like this at this point, I'm very disappointed with them, or not likely to play these. Yeah, this is literally just a Roblox clone game, and a PC Gamer is falling for it. Just because it's about owing money to the mob. Even if the story is great, this is still just a Roblox clone. This is an asset flip game. A low effort game, in my opinion. Let's see.
Mushroom power! Stop beat me! Mushroom power!
Okay.
Stop beat me!
Hit that. Hit that. And go ahead and hit that in return. PC Gamer has a different article. Get board games without the boards in the Humble Digital Tabletop Bundle. No boards, no dice, no tabletops. It all runs on the PC. PC Gamer. Since we're talking about it now, I guess I could go ahead and just click on the link and look at this bundle and see what I think about it. Ticket to Ride complete bundle, I already have that. With Ticket to Ride Android edition for $1. Ticket to Ride I've covered and played, and I was not impressed with the quality of the game, nor really super happy with the game in general. Sentinels of the Multiverse.
It's playtime.
Mysterium, a psychic card clue game for Android edition. Interesting, you're going to get Android versions and the regular. If you pay more than $5.86 on average, you'll get Pathfinder Adventures, Carcassonne Tiles and Tactics, Sentinels of Multiple Shattered Timelines, Talisman Digital Edition, Talisman, the Highland Experience Talisman, the Dungeon Expansion, and just Talisman. If you pay $10 or more, you get Armello, A-R-M-E-L-L-O. I don't know, if you like these board games, maybe you'd pay the average to get Carcassonne. Probably not going to get much of a better deal to get Carcassonne, but I already have that game. If you're just going to play $1, there might be an offer there that interests you too if you're just trying to play one card game or one board game, which there's pretty decent thought that is a possibility. Oh, I should have played it in the opposite direction. Oops.
Again.
Yeah, if you were specifically only interested in playing one board game and was paying $1 for it, you'd be fine digitally. Of course, Tabletop Simulator, always an issue with board games on Steam. Most of those board games would probably not be easily played on Tabletop Simulator, but the question certainly is there. There you go. TechRaptor has an article, Bullet Points Bloodborne's Insight. I'm going to scroll down here. I think this is just an article talking about Bloodborne's artistic style and storyline. Yeah, there's no review number or anything here. This might have been an interview with some of the developers of Bloodborne. Let's do 30 damage, drop a card. About to lose. Let's see, PC Gamer has an article, Exploring Middle-earth with cards is mostly a blast in Lord of the Rings living card game. Looking at a screenshot of Lord of the Rings living card game, it looks a lot like Hearthstone. Although, it does seem like it has a third metric besides health and attack. And of course, mana. I keep on just trying to play, but on the face of it, it looks like a card game. There seems to be a ring you can use, like the One Ring, or one assumes it's the One Ring. It could be a different ring. The problem here is the number of cards. It says each mission lets you take in a deck of 30 cards. And how many cards in total compared to 4 or 5 years into the development of Hearthstone? Like, what really would make you jump ship from Hearthstone into Lord of the Rings? I suppose if you were a super fan of this, you might jump into it in the same way that if you were a super fan of Star Trek, you might have been interested in playing the Star Trek game, which I've heard nobody talk about that Star Trek game at all since it came out. But the player base is going to be incredibly smaller than what you get normally compared to Hearthstone. Okay, we have no quest. This is coming back, it says in less than 1 hour. Gonna have nothing to do, so switch over to some Murloc play. We're just gonna waste our time and play some Murlocs. GameIndustry.biz orders a takedown of the fan game maker Pokemon Essentials. It's a decade-old asset kit for RPG Maker pulled along with a wiki on how to develop with it. So Nintendo is continuing to clamp down on anything that they claim as their copyright. In the wake of the next Pokemon coming out, and I wonder if this is in some way an admittance that they know that the next Let's Go Pokemon games for the Switch are not going to be very well received. And they're saying this is Nintendo and not Game Freaks, so it's not the makers of Pokemon, it's the people who own the license. And this is Nintendo of America, so Nintendo of Japan can pretend like their hands are clean, but they most definitely are not. And it looks like Pokemon Essentials really is just an asset kit that may not even be assets actually from Pokemon, it just looks like Pokemon. This has been around for 11 years and nobody has complained about it, and now they're complaining for some reason.
Job's done.
Moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article. The Onrush director Paul Rushchinsky joins Project Cars developer Slightly Mad Studios. Rushchinsky is RUSTCHYNSKY. The thing here is when they say they're joining a new place, they're not inherently saying that they're leaving the old place. It is possible you could be working for both, although the way he phrases it in this tweet is, "Today is the beginning of my new adventure at Slightly Mad Studios," which is a bit of an implication that his old adventure, his old job is done. It's also hashtag new job, hashtag first day. Let's see. We have a game on Steam called Toy Gun Office Simulator. It seems like everything has been drawn in wireframe and it's just standing in one place shooting these wireframe objects in an office, but the fact that you're in an office seems like it's just background. Well, okay, now I'm seeing some people running in that might be like zombies or something. That might make a little bit more sense. Do I want to kill one of these? Let's do that.
Job done.
Yeah, I don't really see a game here. Toy Gun Office Simulator is 20% off for $44.79. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think there's an actual game that would make you want to play there. I think we already talked about this before, but GameIndustry.biz has an article, "Why Velocity Supernova Needs a Publisher but is Struggling to Find One." Yeah, we heard about particularly this game coming out and saying they're having trouble finding a publisher, probably ensuring they never will find one. It is an interesting, like, theoretical thought about what does a game developer have to do to not be signable as a publisher. When you know that Kickstarter people that really have little to no credibility can get publishers, so the developers of We Happy Few, for instance, that was a Kickstarter game and they got a publisher with Gearbox. We know there's been plenty of games. Yandere Dev signed with a publisher and then eventually split with them under creative differences, for lack of a better euphemism. So I don't know, maybe the creator of Velocity is just a right-wing Trump supporter and is vocal about it, and that's why no publisher wants to touch him. Maybe they do background checks and see there's something in his history that they don't want to work with him, or maybe the game just didn't sell enough. Maybe he accidentally proved that his game was not marketable. And I don't know what complaining about it really means at this point. If he can't get a publisher, his two choices are kind of simple. He self-publishes on Steam Direct, or he doesn't release the game. But complaining doesn't change anything. Moving on, Gamer Sutra has an article. Weather Factory launches Coven Club to help connect women in games. So the cultist simulator developer Weather Factory has launched the Coven Club, which I can already guarantee you that some women in the video game industry are not going to like the association and the thought of being implied to be witches. But it's an initiative to help women in the game industries connect and forge new relationships. I did certainly have a thought about how relationships in relationships inside of the video game industry and mainstream gaming news journalism might become too cozy with each other, which they all most definitely do get too cozy with each other, simply because people are just obsessed with the idea of networking, and that it's good and it's a smart idea to quote unquote network with people in the video game industry. So even from day one, when you hire an intern, they're going to have in the back of the head, I better be friendly to all these video game companies because I might work with these people in the future at some point, work for these people in the future, or work with some of the employees at this company in the future, which is a real evidence that there should be like a non-compete type clause in any video game journalist's position that says for 6 years after working in the video game industry you will not work for a video game company or a marketing firm that markets video games or anything like that. Any company that you ever came in contact with, or any company in the same field as the companies that you came in contact with, just to ensure that there's no chance of cronyism happening. Alright, Tavern Brawl is back. You know. Of course, it's very possible that the Tavern Brawl for like the European account won't come for several hours. Death is not quite the end because minions have death rattle with death rattle now rather twice. Interesting. So who has the most death rattle things? I would say it would be Hunter. And then death. Just search the phrase death. See, this is wild decks, right? So 2 damage to the enemy hero. 2 damage to the enemy hero. Let's see. Gain some armor. Draw some cards. 3 damage to a random enemy minion. Summon the 5/5 skeleton. 2 damage to all enemies. There you go. That for sure. Does rattle off at your opponent's turn. Summon some 8 things. Heal. Do we have anything here that matters? There you go. We'll activate these 2. Destroy some random enemy minions. Trigger a friendly minion's death rattle. 2 damage to all enemy minions. Death rattle cards cost 2 less. I have 4 more cards that I can put in here. Trigger those twice. Why not? Recruit a beast. This, and that. Okay. Should be an interesting enough tavern brawl. Let's see if there's anything that, let's see, that needs to be said about the Coven Club. It's a free monthly event. First will take place in Zifferblatt in London, September 26th, which potentially, is it open to men attending, or probably not. They'll probably kick all the men out, even if they want to hear what is being said or support the place. Can sign up to get a ticket over at the Weather Factory website. Let's see what it takes to get a ticket. Well, it's asking for my email immediately. Here's one in the article on the website. Are men evil? Just to be clear, of course, they're not. Men are just as fallible and just as delightful as women, but this meetup wants to be as relaxing and friendly as possible, and some women may not feel comfortable talking about certain experiences or opinions in a mixed-gendered environment, so I'm keeping Coven Club women only for now. Let's see. Is Coven Club an actual coven? You can't prove nothing. That's all it says. Yeah, it's already like, the problem with something like this is how
Job's done.
well equipped is the cultist simulator lady that's running this to run this show and have any useful or productive conversations or interactions whatsoever. Does this just boil down into a social club, a wine group, something along that lines, where where they just get together and accomplish nothing? Or do they really get together and think up new great ideas and support each other and help each other grow? Interestingly enough, I just finished playing The Walking Dead Season 3, and the main female who was supposed to be romantic lead, but I had no interest in romancing her as she was my sister-in-law, and this was the middle of a zombie apocalypse, and there were kids involved, so I was at no point willing to break up a home. Let's see if this activates twice. Yeah, it does. Okay. So the main female romantic character had this problem of her always trying to run away from her responsibilities / problems, run away from taking care of her own kids, while I was playing as her brother-in-law, helping take care of her kids. If anything, I should have been the person running away. And she was always trying to lean on the character I was playing as emotionally, and she just was not what I would describe as a strong, independent woman. She just wasn't. And it wasn't until the very end of the game that I started, she showed any form of strength emotionally or reliance on herself. And I kind of wonder if you get into clubs like this, maybe you get the support you need, but maybe some people are just feeding a codependence, and just it becomes a area where people on a monthly basis whine about why their life is not the way they'd like it to be, but they're really not doing anything to change it. And that's really for everybody. It's like support groups of any kind could just become a crutch. And yeah, there's definitely some questions about how productive any support group would be. On the other hand, until we hear news come out that actually it was a huge waste and it was pointless, that's not really... until the drama happens, we might as well not speculate about potential drama that might happen. VidCon, I think, is kind of a good example of that too. Is how useful or helpful is it really for a small-time video creator to go to VidCon? How useful or helpful was it ever? I don't know, but it nowadays seems like you're just wasting your time. Wasting your time to maybe find a small group of people that you know and want to hang out with. But yeah, not really, I think, doing anything helpful. I don't feel like after VidCon happens each year, a bunch of YouTubers have all the new insights on the YouTube algorithm, which I think VidCon is run by Viacom now. It's not even run by Google. So I don't think there's great insights or helpful things, and I have certainly watched videos that are supposed to be support videos for YouTube creators, and most of them are scam videos, straight up. They're just there telling you the very basic things that YouTube already tells everybody. Things like look at your watch time and pay attention to your thumbnails, and some of them will go as far as to tell you to clickbait or sort of imply you should clickbait. Some of them won't, but nobody's got any big secrets or surprises. If there is anything interesting or new to be said to a creator to help them, it's things about attitude and self-determination and time management and how you treat your audience. It's not about, oh, your thumbnail should look like this, your video should be like this. It's not just basic. Let's see. If I do this, it merges the death rattles, doesn't it? Ooh, magnetic, and then death rattle triggers twice. Interesting. Interesting. Moving on, even though I have probably plenty of time, I could continue on that rant. PC Gamer has an article, Dying Light Bad Blood is a promising spin on the Battle Royale, but I'll wait until it's free. The Battle Royale spin-off launches in early access with a $20 Founders Pack, but it'll be eventually free to play. It's kind of interesting that Dying Light would go into this genre, but seems like that is going to happen. Let's hit this.
Job done.
I really need to get close to playing Dying Light, and the thing about Dying Light, even though it's a zombie game, it's not really a horror game, so I think I would be perfectly fine covering it outside of October. Well, I managed to kill myself. Yeah. I also kind of feel like had a slightly better story been written and told throughout the first 3 seasons, and I guess the Michonne season of the Walking Dead Telltale games, if those stories had been in Dying Light which is an actual game. I kept referring to Telltale game. The Telltale game is not really a game because it's just like nothing but QuickTime events. Very few QuickTime events, even at that. Just the ability to actually run around and kill some zombies every now and then would have stretched the length and given me a more visceral feedback.
None can escape my fury.
Let the hunt
And then
begin.
if you want it to be the Dead Rising games does something slightly interesting with a storyline, although Dead Rising is a ridiculous storyline, where you play over and over again trying to save more people and get a better outcome, and every time you lose the game you start over at the beginning and you get some XP upgraded. I believe that's pretty much how it works for Dead Rising, or all the Dead Rising games. I could see the Telltale games working that way too, where you make the wrong decision, you die, you have to go back to a specific point, you get some experience, or you get some knowledge. That's where Life is Strange did something very interesting in Life is Strange 1, where it brought back, it allowed you to learn information and make different decisions if you could rewind time. Of course, in the instances that it let you rewind time, often it didn't let you rewind time back as far as you'd want to. And speaking of rewinding, Season 3, The New Frontier of The Walking Dead, loses the ability to pick specific scenes in the game and go back. You have to restart the entire chapter and start playing from the beginning. So you have, it went from, I would say 30 checkpoints down to only 5. Let's see, TechRaptor has an article called Crowdfunding Spotlight, Heroes Tales of the Tomes. I don't know if this is a new thing they're doing. It seems like this is a crowdfunding game for an actual tabletop game too, so yeah, it's another tabletop story. All the video game websites are getting more and more into not talking about video games. And there was something else that just occurred to me. Can I remember what it was? Or have I lost it? Seriously, am I really playing this badly? Or am I... What is going on here? Why have I not won yet? I might be playing pretty badly.
Versus Rexa.
Well, moving on, I suppose. I'm not going to be able to remember what I was thinking about. Gamer Sutra has an article. Get a job. Velen Studios is hiring for an online programmer. Velen Studios is an independent game developer with a passion for the unconventional. We're looking for great programmers with online multiplayer experience. So I've never heard of Velen Studios, so it could be Valen Studios. So I'm gonna click on this link and do a little bit of research. So let's go to the website. Let's see. They just have values, locations, careers, blog. And it seems like they've never worked on a game before, because there's nothing on their website that shows any indication that they've released a product. Let's see. They released in 2017 on March 19th a open source code, and that seems to kind of be it. Like nothing else. Probably should have saved that. Yeah, they're working on just engine stuff, it seems. Velen Studios. So, I suppose, yes, you could get on the ground floor at a new video game company, and that might help you grow your career. Of course, they also are making the mistake of trying to make a multiplayer game before doing anything else. Let's see. One of the things I wanted to say, here's a bunch of codes. It's probably too late now. They're giving away Screen 7, which is the developer or publisher of games like, I believe, The Cat Lady and The Adventures of Fat Man point and click games, has done the thing that I have chided Randy Pitchford, the CEO of Gearbox, for doing, and I feel it's only fair to point this out too, where my stance has not changed. It's a nice thing for companies to donate and retweet charities of people that they may or may not know, but you are opening your company to looking unprofessional. You're opening your company to potentially being a part of a scam, and it's just not what companies are. It's not what companies should be. It's not what companies are. They should just be these moralless, evil, we want to make money entities, limited in their thought process and actions to just making money and, you know, maintaining employees and paying employees and paying shareholders if we must have shareholders. So yeah, they donated to a GoFundMe called Help with Steve's Kidney Transplant, and they donated to a Ariana and Aileen Memorial Fund, which then got tweeted to their Twitter. There's nothing inherently wrong, in my opinion, with them donating, and I do have to applaud them actually donating and not just retweeting and giving exposure to things that they won't even put their own money into.
My hand
But
is too
it's
full.
just not appropriate. And shouldn't be done. Shouldn't be done by Randy Pitchford. Shouldn't be done by anybody. Even me as a YouTuber, I don't think if I was going to donate to other things, that is not how I wouldn't have it coming out on a public Twitter unless I did it accidentally. That is also an interesting thing about Patreon, is that in theory, if I get donated as a Patreon, I could send that donation back to another creator. Let's see. Do 2 hyenas. Do this one. And this one. And just do that. And do this.
Job's done.
In the turn. I don't think my immediate thought, though, I'm gonna be a little greedy, frankly, on the Patreon. Like, as that's open now and there's an opportunity for somebody to be the first donator, if they're donating like $1 or $2, yeah, I'm just gonna let that build up and make sure, at least at the beginning, that all the transactions go through and I can actually get that into a bank account without losing tons of money in transaction fees. And frankly, in the same way, it would be very, very helpful and nice if I could earn a living wage doing this job, instead of doing this job for basically peanuts or nothing at this point. Let's see. Oops. Maybe that was a good thing. That didn't play the way I would have thought it would. Anyways, Gamasutra has an article. Nintendo rolls out indie-focused Switch news channel. Nintendo has launched a new channel for the Nintendo Switch built-in newsfeed that focuses entirely on indie games coming to this platform. I believe this is probably the beginning of some curation and filtering of the Nintendo store, so that the cheaply made, low-effort visual novel style games that I imagine they will still certainly allow on Steam, not Steam, I'm thinking about Steam too much, they'll almost certainly allow that still on Nintendo's store, but I bet they will start to focus more and more around highlighting just a few indies and a few AAA, AA games. There's really nothing more to say in this article, though. So let's move on. Gematsu has an article. Langreaser 1 and 2 launches February 7th, 2019 in Japan. So we have now an official date of the Langreaser 1 and 2 series. Let's see, it's an RPG, Japanese RPG game. And yeah, it looks like an old school Japanese RPG, maybe with some 3D graphics, maybe not. And most of the screenshots are taken from a audience perspective from far away. Nobody just releases the press information, even to slightly Japanese companies like Gematsu, which I assume at least has some some reason to get some special access. Just keep on killing things. We've got a game on Steam called Green Hell. It's tagged Early Access Survival Indie. Let's see. It looks to me like it's a forced clone. Like realistic looking survival game. Forced was a realistic looking survival Minecraft clone. Yeah, it seems like it has a slightly interesting ability where you can hurt your arm and then have to wrap it in like banana leaves. And maybe some story sections. Give a friendly minion death row at least summon twice. Let's see. I'm gonna resummon this. Swap decks just to drive them crazy. Let's see. I'm gonna hit that one because I'm gonna die anyways. Then I'm gonna hit this one. That should be fine. There literally is nothing wrong with Green Hell visually, but it still looks like it's a very low effort game. It's $19.99. The Forest really never came out enough to be popular, and I just don't think anybody can capture what Minecraft did. I think Minecraft is Minecraft, and any clone of Minecraft is not worth talking about. In the same way that Pac-Man is Pac-Man, and sure, you've got Miss Pac-Man, and frankly Miss Pac-Man probably is better than Pac-Man. Let's see. But no Pac-Man clone ever really succeeded and brought people to play. And Green Hell looks exactly like that. It's just it's first game from this developer. There's no way to give it any credibility. Let's see. PC Gamer has an article. The latest Brutal Doom update means the mod is basically complete. Version 21 unleashes a full blast of new features. So, Brutal Doom, as I understand it, is a mod for like Doom 2. Let's see. Or maybe kind of a slight changing and remaking of the ideas that are present in Doom 2. There's a quote here that says, while future updates will focus entirely on bugs, there are still a few things to add. Primarily support for the latter levels of Doom 2 and Ultimate Doom. But Sergeant MK4 states that those won't even require testing. So, yeah, seems like maybe some Brutal Doom is a rebuilt engine of the older Doom games, which I don't know why you really would need that, unless it's just adding entire gameplay mechanics that, let's see, we could do this. And we can do this. And do this. And that's that. GameIndustry.biz has an article. Riot Games is, quote, a long way from breaking even on esports investments. The head of global esports events explains the company's decision to cut cost, focus investments on the next 3 years. Alright, well, I officially hate this tavern brawl. I don't know what to do with it. I literally don't have a clue as far as what I am supposed to do to make a better death rattle deck than what I did. And even if I wanted to make the Tavern Brawl death rattle deck right now, I can't in this area. Summon a bunch of Trents, that's not going to help. This was doing a bunch of damage, and we could do mechs. There's like nothing here. I really don't think there's a better character than Hunter to make a death rattle deck with. And struggling on the Tavern Brawl is certainly not the way I would have liked to stretch out the stream. Yep. Okay, well, we've gone an hour and 13 minutes, so this is a good point to break up. Riot Games is a long way from making money. They've spent too much on esports as far as GameIndustry.biz is concerned, or that article. That's all I really need to hear. It's a financial story, so I'll end that there. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me, there's now 2 ways. You can friend me on Steam and gift me a game, or you can just click the Patreon link down below at the bottom of the description. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, August 29th, and we are kind of stuck on this Tavern Brawl, and then that's all I really need to do today on the Americas account. So the question I need to do is, it doubles death rattles. So I need to probably find some cheaper death rattle cards and probably gets rid of some cards that don't matter, and probably get rid of something that would trigger my death rattles twice. Add a random mech to your hand. This would be an interesting thought. Maybe we'll play a little bit of mech death rattle. Let's see, give a friendly mech +1/+1 in the event. It has the death rattle triggered. We'll take that. There's a lot of mechs right now. Gain the death rattle of a random minion in your deck. Let's see. So I'm gonna take out some things. And hope that I can fix this. Get something better. I'm not really getting to a 5th turn. Okay, let's try that and hop into a game. I don't have a ton of news once we caught up, so we'll just go through all the news, and this may really just be a 2-hour stream. if I can get the tavern brawls done and get the daily quest done. So we have a game on Steam called Henry's Secret, Henri. It's tagged Indie Casual Simulation Visual Novel. It says, incarnate Lyle in this visual novel whose last high school year will be full of stories. Using the phrase incarnate tells me that this is almost certainly not a native English speaker. This year, a new student has arrived at No, it's not Lyle, it's Layla. A new student has arrived at Layla's school. Henry, who looks like and has the attitude of a top student. Layla is beautiful and popular. Henry is reserved and almost, and then the story description ends. One thing I see immediately here is this is a Western animation style that I've seen maybe in some cell phone games. It's not bad at all. It's actually rather good. It's just that the characters have maybe a little too much toning in their skin, and it's a very focused attempt at making realistic looking characters, but the women don't look 100% realistic. I've seen a lot of those fake games where you made to attract little girls, where it's like Barbie was hurt in an accident and you have to take care of her, or Barbie is pregnant and she was hurt in an accident. A lot of that. I forgot the name of those videos that were going around on YouTube for a very long time. Well, regardless of what the name is, a lot of that stuff seems like looks like this. It's a little too polished, but also these are probably cut and paste asset flip characters. I bet the creator of this game didn't do any of that. The interface for this visual novel looks pretty good. Here I'm seeing one lady very inconsistently drawn compared to everybody else on the screen.
I'm warning you. I'm unstable.
This really doesn't look like it's a super interesting game, though. Let's see what languages it is in. It says it's in a bunch except for Japanese. French, German, Spanish, Portuguese, and Russian. And it's 35 Steam achievements, and they want $29.99. I am not 100% sold that this isn't just a troll game. Like a Russian troll game or a fake game designed to look appealing. The developers that are listed and the publishers that are listed do not seem to have any kind of other credibility. Like it's just, this is the only game that they have ever released on Steam. And I really cannot be sold on Henry's Secret. It would be probably very wrong. Yeah, I've argued this in the past, that it would be wrong to play a game like Henry's Secret when there's so many better known and better written and better made visual novel games that are Japanese. I think if you're going to start covering visual novels, you have to play something that's Japanese first. You have to admit and realize the history there. You can't just whitewash all of visual novels and make it a Western thing. And frankly, there's not enough good Western visual novels for that to even be possible to do. But if I was just to play one, that would be unfair. It would be similar to kind of the experience of I was just to play Call of Duty, like the latest Call of Duty, and not have ever played any other shooters or covered any other shooters. And there has to be a first time for anything, certainly, but there's also an intention in almost every game I cover to play something similar to it and have some kind of comparison. Like, I don't think there actually has been anything that I completely and totally played and then didn't play something somewhat similar. If this guy hits him again.
Here, there is no light.
Attack, attack, and attack, and then into my turn. Next game we have on Steam is called Zoom In Boom. It's the word zoom, then the letter N, and boom all squished together. Says it's an indie racing game, but best I can tell, it's a collection of just like some kind of vehicle that is going around almost a four-dimensional spheroid area. A lot of generic looking textures, a little too generic looking for my taste. Not as bad as I have seen by far, but still a little too generic looking. I think I might win this time. No premature. And the vehicle's driving around, and he's flying towards these orbs of light. And it can apparently hop, and as he flies around he gains speed. And he can apparently crash on almost nothing. It almost looks like it's a light cycle game. Yeah, it is. It's like a four-dimensional light cycle game. Doesn't look terrible, but and it's 25% off for $1.49, so I guess the price is not too bad. I guess I didn't play enough for him. Well, but honestly, I don't think I'm gonna wishlist Zoom and Boom. It seems too simplistic an idea. It feels like something that would be a cool little mini game in a bigger game, something like Cyberpunk 2077, for instance, or even the Tron Disney game, which probably does have a light cycle racing section. One of the things, I don't know if I've said this out loud, but one of the things I plan on doing at the end of the year as a different kind of secondary end of the year review is to live stream going through my wish list since so many games have been added, and we're just going to look at everything from 2017 and older, and we're going to just consider whether the games stay on the wish list or they go away forever. Because there definitely needs to be a couple times a year that happens, where there's just a cleansing and purging of games that are just too old and have not convinced anybody to play the games, so they have no relevance. Sure, I would love to find a diamond in the rough, but the odds of that happening is pretty low. There is a argument here to keep one of these and only do 2 of these. And see, this won't be back for until 3 hours, so I guess we're going to do the Tavern Brawl for Europe in Friday streams going forward until I can get back onto a regular sleep schedule. So Monster Hunts is where we go.
Wanted. Highly energetic, morally flexible researchers to engage in air
Monster Hunt.
You win or what?
And double my starting health. And then let's just pick some cards. Jade Golems. Let's see how that works. And we'll just keep playing. Eurogamer has an article, FIFA 19 devs quote, voluntarily choose to add pack odd disclosures. EA Sports on career mode neglect and the journey in Jesse Lingard's hair. So this whole article is like a question and response article by Eurogamer. I think it is a definite quotable statement to say they voluntarily chose to add that information. They're seeing that the European Union is not happy with you at the very least not disclosing microtransaction loot box odds, card pack odds, but also Belgium and other countries are not happy with you having those things at all. And at a certain point, the question will come down to who is going to be the first company to literally say, look, we're just not going to allow people in Belgium or in the European Union to play our game at all. Now, I guess technically there's been tons of games and like Korean mobile games that have never come to the European Union side of the world. But if somebody directly says it's because of these laws, that means something a lot different.
First kill.
Let's see. I don't really need to read this article though, so we'll just move on. We've got a game on Steam called Runes of Magic. It's a free-to-play, massively multiplayer RPG adventure game. I'm looking at the trailer. It doesn't look too bad. It looks like a pretty well polished World of Warcraft-esque game, although I'm not seeing any like item bar or anything, so it must be a pretty basic RPG with no abilities or anything. Of course, arguably that is also the problem with things like World of Warcraft, is that me, as somebody who's never played World of Warcraft, looking at the massive amount of things and buttons to press to do attacks, it's just a little overwhelming. Diablo was similar in that way, where there definitely were ways to play with mouse and keyboard in Diablo that I was not super interested in doing. Let's see. Deal 2 damage. Add a guy to my hand. Play it in return. Let's see. This is a multiplayer online third-party account stuff to play with at least, let's see, $64 in microtransactions that maybe you can buy multiple times. Let's see. The user score on Metacritic gives it a 57 for this game, and the critics scores give this game a 71, but on Steam there is not a single review because it says it came out March 19th, 2009, so I don't even know why Runes of Magic appeared on my list. It must simply have been re-released, or they changed something to it so it appeared as a new game on Steam, or maybe it went from paid to free to play. But yeah, Runes of Magic looks uninteresting. I think I already announced this, but I'll just mention this. Game Researcher has an article: EA cancels remaining Madden qualifiers in wake of the senseless shooting that happened in Jacksonville. PAX West, or the next PAX, I'm pretty sure, has said that they are going to beef up security also for their event, which is the next big event to happen. Giant Bomb said that they had heard that the competitor had lost and then left the area, retrieved the gun and then come back, which certainly adds some details if accurate. But then again, I guess you also have to point out that Giant Bomb was just, their employees were saying they weren't reporters just a week ago. So could be like misinformation or bad information. Not misinformation, just bad information. And yeah, nothing's really come about on that story in general. It's just, yeah, security's gonna be tighter at any video game convention event. I still personally don't see a real reason why I'd ever want to go to a PAX or anything like that.
I don't have many cards.
It doesn't seem like it's worth anybody's time. There we go. See, and I'm using the hero ability here, hoping that that is moving up our daily quest. But apparently it's not. So, well, that sucks. Let's just take something and keep on playing. Gamer Citra has a blog, Thoughts on Romance in System-Driven Games. I may have already mentioned this article. Like, some of these articles look like they're just repeats. Yeah, it doesn't really feel like this article is saying anything interesting. It's just a blog. It's probably an advertisement from a developer of their game saying my game's really cool because it has this feature that nobody ever wanted and nobody's gonna appreciate. But we don't see that as much as it used to. Like, there's entire groups of games that came out in the old days that nobody appreciated. We've got a game on Steam called Bomb Riders. Let's see, it's tagged as a casual game. And that's it. Bomb Riders is a game in the bombing genre, which often offers you a journey through the amazing world with many enemies which can be destroyed by explosions and logic. So it's a Bomberman clone. It doesn't look bad. Like, there oddly is this this point where Bomberman clones are filling a void, or at least one could fill a void. I don't know how many people really want to play Bomberman games. Let's see, this game is single player only though, so it already fails. It's not in Japanese, it's $1.99. Yep. Even though it's pretty, yeah, it really is probably not worth playing. Bomb Riders. It's first game from this developer too. So, yeah. Let's take this again and play this again. And do this. Next game we have on Steam is called Save the Girl. Save the Girl, the last remaining survivor in the zombie apocalypse. For a short time there was a publisher who was just taking female models and putting them in the game as like a selling point, and just saying, hey, this game has 400 female models that I probably didn't pay any money for and have no legal rights to. And then it was around the gameplay was very simplistic and dumb. This game is not like that, at least not to begin with. It's a kinda asset flip, forever runner rides, no, not rides, but trials game. You're riding in a motorcycle. You're running into jumps that you have to control to get where you're supposed to go. There's zombies in the background.
This guy's toast.
Will kill you when you crash. Let's see. Yeah, it does not look like a polished game.
Is someone injured?
And I'm not sure if there really is even an ending to this game where you would save the girl. It says it's early access, 40% off for 59 cents. Yeah. I see nothing here that would make this a game worth mentioning or any further. Let's see. This. And then this. And then we'll take this. 6 cards remaining. We have a game on Steam called Switchblade. It's an early access action MOBA indie game. Let's see, War is the new sport in Switchblade. It's an arena-based 5 versus 5 vehicle action game that combines high-octane combat with ever-shifting selection of strategic choices. So yeah, you're driving around what I'd only call dune buggies slash tank vehicles. That they look like dune buggies but have tanks and rays and different kinds of guns. Let's see. Again, play this. Play this.
Job done.
Return.
Is someone injured?
Switchblade does not look interesting. It's 20% off for $15.99 in early access. It has 32 achievements. Yeah, it's just got nothing here. Let's see. And this is from a developer who has made one other series of games called Jacob Jones and the Bigfoot Mystery, which, if I was to guess, is a kids adventure hidden object style game. It's not even a hidden object style game. It's really just a kids adventure game. It's a little polished, certainly, and it's 100% positive of the 21 user reviews. I'm more willing to put this game on my wish list, unfortunately, than I am for Switchblade. So I'm gonna change my mind pretty much and take the other game.
Dogs are a girl's best friend.
I smell blood. Job's done.
Let's see. Oh, I died there. I guess that's fine. Your Gamer has an article. Shovel Knight's 4th and final DLC is a multiplayer brawler called Showdown. Out on everything except for the Vita and the 3DS. So it's just called Showdown. Let's see. I'm gonna continue to just try and play Tractor and win. Maybe someday I'll actually get all of these done, but I doubt it.
Tess versus
So,
a mangy
I'm gonna look at this video of gameplay for Showdown.
The trail leads here.
I know Shovel Knight has an 8-bit animation style to start with, so I'm not gonna be super critical by saying this looks like an NES game and has an 8-bit animation style. It does, but it is showing, and I have some more faith in this developer to do this properly, a game that looks a lot like if you were to make an 8-bit Smash Brothers game. It in no way is going to be as good as a Smash Brothers game, but it's slightly interesting, I suppose. Although probably also not the DLC you would want if you're a Shovel Knight fan, because it just does not have that platforming and gameplay that you probably have been used to with the Shovel Knight series. Also, I'm pretty sure that the Shovel Knight character has been lent out to several other Smash Brother style games. At this point, it feels like they had a game jam or got together, and several different indie developers decided to all make Smash Brothers styles games and use their own their characters interchangeably in each of those games.
I'll give it a shot.
First kill.
Yeah, this is a 10-minute video of people playing the game, and I really don't need to see 10 minutes of it. So yeah, if you're a big fan of Shovel Knight, you might be a little disappointed with the final piece of DLC, or you might be very interested to see him in another genre, depending on how big of a fan you are, I guess. Let's see. Play this.
I'll give it a shot.
This.
Kill Naias!
Fig.com has a new update for Psychonauts 2. It's important to remember that Double Fine Productions basically owns a portion of Fig.com and started it, and is kind of mostly gaining attention for Fig.com through Psychonauts 2. Fig.com is a competitor to Kickstarter, but for video game developers and pretty much nobody else. They might let some other kind of artists in, but they're not gonna let a lot of people in. So I'm looking at the Fig campaign for Psychonauts 2. It has received $3,829,000 and 24 extra dollars over its goal of $3,300,000. So it's 116% funded. And then apparently there's a post-campaign total. It's let's see. It's listed below this for $3,905,000 and 517 more dollars. I'm gonna have to learn how to say that correctly. It says that's the amount made during the campaign in addition to pre-order pledges made after the campaign. Let's see. And so now you can just pre-order the game. And that's kind of all it's using to do it. So they have update 8, and they're talking about psychic powers, and they're working on making Psychonauts 2. And they made a VR Psychonauts game that you would have really thought that VR Psychonauts game would have come out as advertisements maybe a month before Psychonauts 2 came out, but it's been at least 6 months since that game came out. So I have no idea what they're doing, other than I'm pretty sure Double Fine just in general doesn't know how to run a business too successfully, and because of that your mileage may vary with them. They certainly have some ideas. I love their ideas, but often they're not developed well. Broken Age is a perfect example for that, and it's because of Broken Age that they created Fig almost certainly, and started going down the path of trying to get people to pre-order and invest in the development of their games instead of going to publishers, or, which maybe also Double Fine has lost any credibility with publishers, or publishers have just kind of dried out and they don't have money for the slightly off-kilter weird games that Double Fine tends to make. Let's see. just hit that.
I'll give it a shot.
PC Gamer has an article. The Blue, the microphone developer that makes the Blue Yeti, which is the microphone I use, or the Blue Snowball, which is a smaller, slightly cheaper version. They were bought out by Logitech, like I would say almost a year ago. Seems about right. And there was definitely some question as far as what, if anything, was going to get developed under the Blue name. Well, they do have a new device out now. It's a smaller, cheaper alternative to the Blue Yeti. It looks like the Blue Yeti, but in a smaller package, which one thing I definitely would say about the Blue Yeti is it is a big old microphone. It is 4 or 5 times thicker than a microphone would be, so any kind of regular microphone stand that clips around the microphone will not work. It screws into a microphone stand just fine, and you can mount it, but you cannot pick up the Blue Yeti and move it around and hold it close to your face as if you were a singer. But I don't think you're supposed to do that anyways. So maybe they're getting just a better, getting to a better position as far as scaling down the weight, scaling down the size, and you know, if you could get more microphones on a store shelf, stores would be happier with that because they can make more profit there on more sales. Let's see. It's called the Yeti Nano, and PC Gamer says they haven't tested it yet, so you'll probably find out or hear some reviews of it.
Embrace the power of the Cabal.
Play this. And play this.
Job's done.
The Yeti Nano is now available in 4 different color options for $9.99. No, $99.99, $100 basically. I'm not sure if that's a good deal. I'd have to kind of think about how much I paid for the Yeti. I may have gotten it on sale for $100 or less. Maybe the price is higher now because it's smaller. There also is kind of an annoying bottom portion of the Blue Yeti that sticks out. I don't know if that's so you can mount it to something else, like a camera mount or something. It could be, but that, whatever it is, it's not available in the Yeti Mini. I wouldn't be surprised if the Yeti Mini is not capable of being attached to a mic stand, and I think you probably need some kind of mic stand regardless of how you're recording, unless you're just happen to be sitting in front of a computer and a desk, which I guess a lot of streamers probably are, but even in that instance you're still probably not in the best position.
So much.
There we go. Yeah, you still probably need a mic stand. I feel like I might be fading a little faster than I should be. There we go. So I probably should rush through this. I need to play Murlocs and use my hero power 20 times, or at least do one of those things. Let's open this pack. We're on our European accounts, so any cards are probably going to be helpful, but legendaries would certainly be appreciated. Of course, it may also be a case that all those cards are duplicates. Yep, all 5 of those were duplicates. I'm not even gonna bother to come back here and try and mark off the cards that are labeled as new because they just come back. The only thing I want to see here is, do I have a Murloc deck? Or do we have nothing? Nope, we have nothing. So I kept my Murloc deck previously on the Americas account, but I'm definitely didn't keep one here. So Murloc, enter, just type in Murloc a second time so we have a name to it, and please some people, echo, draw some cards, do this, do this. Probably don't need to draw Murlocs from my deck. I probably have enough Murlocs to make a Murloc deck just fine. Draw more cards. This, these. Lifesteal, regular, taunts. I'm at 30. Let's get rid of the ones that are taunts, because I think I'm better off doing something different. Taking these instead. Alright, there's a Murloc deck. Doesn't have to be too fancy. Just gotta play a bunch of Murloc cards. So we come over to Wild Play, choose a Murloc deck, might as well play Ranked, and we move on. We have a game on Steam called Lake of Voices. It's free to play indie casual horror game. It says a free horror visual novel about an ill-fated journey, and it continues to describe the story. Again, this is a Western style, not trying to look anime. It's pretty good style. I'm not sure I love it.
The light shall bring.
Not sure how many characters are actually in this story. Also, seems like there's 2 guys and maybe 1 girl, and I'm having a little bit of trouble placing the time era. Like one guy, at least 2 of these guys look like they're from olden days, where one of these girls looks like she might be from present day. I guess maybe it's all olden days. 24 achievements for a free game. It's a fully voiced game. Let's see. Let's go to play. So July 15th, there was fully voiced demo was released, and August 28th was the full release, according to this.
Job's done.
I think I want to read this whole thing. Like, and they're just saying if you enjoy this game, buy the soundtrack or buy one of our other games. No, I think this game is treating its customers so well, and arguably you're not even being a customer here, that it's English full audio and subtitles according to the tags, and that's it. It's 91% positive with 12 user reviews in the past 30 days. It's 72.42% positive over its life. And another fully English voice game. I've somehow managed to find 2. Doesn't sound like a terrible thought. That sounds like something I would like to play if I'm going to go down this route. Of course, I've got so many other games to play. I don't know if I really am going down this route or not. And let's see. It's hard to tell if this developer's made good games or bad games. There's several things that they've made. But I'm willing to, I guess I'll put it on my follow list, because that's what I do with free games. And I'd say check out Lake of Voices right now. It's a free game. It's a fully voiced visual novel, so if you don't want to play visual novels and do a lot of reading, that's helpful too. Next game we have is called Bunny the Horror Game. There's a terrible bunny inside the house. This bunny looks very ridiculous, and I'm pretty sure this is an extremely low effort asset flip style game. Escape the house. Let's see. +1/+1, and play this, and then yeah, I would describe this as a low effort game. It's 17% off for $2.48, but nothing here interests me in playing Bunny the Horror Game. I would say there's probably a little bit of thought put into making a gameplay, but the visual assets are just not there. And you know, good storyline and writing seems kind of missing too. Let's go and hit this guy. Next game we have on Steam is called Battle Rush 2. It's a early access action game according to its tag. It says it's a multiplayer large open world shooter in the entourage of the Second World War with total destructibility of the environment. So this is a multiplayer game already. It's early access. It's 10% off for $4.49, so it's long since lost my attention. It looks like it's just an asset flip game, really. I don't see anything special here. It's funny, Battlefield or Battlefront, I think it's Battlefield, it is struggling to get the pre-orders at once, and that would be the #1 historically accurate or semi-historically accurate World War II shooting game I'd want to play. I really don't think there's any room for a competitor there, and if it is anybody, it's Call of Duty. So yeah, Call of Duty and Battlefield, I put them on the same level. Both uninteresting to me. Alright, next we have a game called Sampling. Sneak, sample, morph, hunt, hinder, rescue, hide, escape, it says as its description, and it says it's an action adventure indie game. It looks like what it is just an empty sandbox place with a bunch of random items. It might be the idea of something kind of like an Agro.io game in 3D environments, which maybe that would make sense to do, but I don't think this one is accomplishing that. Sampling is 20% off for $7.99. Yeah, I see nothing here that interests me. So we'll close that tab. GameIndustry.biz has a article, Newzoo, mobile esports seeing windows of opportunity open. Better hardware, Eastern popularity are driving slow but steady growth of large-scale competitive play. This article had a picture of Clash Royale on it, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, they do talk about Clash Royale later down in the article. But that's not, it's just an insider article, frankly. Like, yeah, maybe mobile esports will become a thing, maybe it won't. TechRaptor has a Donut County review, A Whole New World, whole spelled H-O-L-E, because the game is a game where you play as a whole sucking up things. I hear pretty quickly, according to Giant Bomb, that it is not just a game about maneuvering a hole and sucking up things and the hole getting bigger. It gains more gameplay mechanics almost instantaneously. The graphics are kind of unique and I like the way they look. And it's available on PS4 and Steam, and TechRaptor is giving it a 7.5, very good. The summary is, Donut County's initial ideas are fun and the game is quite hilarious. I just wish it did more with the concept, so it probably is a pretty simple, short game. And see, if I just get one daily quest done for this account, I would be alright with re-rolling the 50 gold and doing more Friday. Pros for Donut County are great characters, hilarious, some initial fun ideas. Cons, doesn't expand on its ideas enough and it's too easy.
Watch.
So yeah, we're moving on.
For Doomhammer.
Keep on trading cards. Eurogamer has an article. A new white Xbox One Elite controller is, I guess, rumored. The article says new white Xbox One Elite controller, where to buy, release date, price, everything we know, which is probably to say they don't know diddly. This Xbox One controller does seem like it is slightly different from an Elite. It seems to have some kind of toggle switch in the middle. I don't know what that would be for. There is a thought. There's some really old controllers for the NES. The NES Advantage in particular had a one-player, second-player switch, so that you could just pass the controller over to the other player and take turns. There is definitely instances where the games that are turn-based could easily allow the players to just pass the controllers. But they don't. They just automatically assume or demand that every player has their own controller in their hands, even if there's no need for that. So, but I seriously doubt that that's what that switch is. It says it has a swappable D-pad like all Elite controls, 4 mappable paddles on the back, trigger locks in both right trigger and left trigger, an ability to completely remap every button via some Xbox and PC software. The new version seems to keep all those special features, but it seems like no added features such as Bluetooth connectivity will be added. They're saying that this is set for release October 16th and will cost $150 in the United States, which is a lot of money to spend on a controller. It seems like Microsoft's going in different directions, where they've got this $22 a month plan for 24 months for a cheap entry point for players, and they also have a $150 controller. And I would like to get the Elite controller if they were a little bit better designed and sturdier. And the thing is, all Xbox controllers have a tendency to burn out after a year or so, and if paying $150 for one is not a good investment, at least for me. Somehow I got to pocketgamer.co.uk. They have an article, Pocket Gamer's Top 25 Mobile Indie Developers. I click here to view the list. I think maybe the reason why I'm at this is because they named the developer Plague Inc. Evolved, and he mentioned it. This is a listicle article where it's going to make me click forward for every single bit of the article, and I'm not willing to do that because it's not really even news. Some website somewhere said a video game company's the game was good. That's all that boils down to. Let's see here and here and here. We have a game on Steam called Beat the Song. It says it's an indie music rhythm game. A music game where you play songs, you play missing percussion, guitars, piano, vocals, synthesizers, effects, strings, and many other instruments that change during the game. A total of 127 minutes of music you can play. So, like, barely, slightly over 2 hours of music, which is not a ton of music. The game looks very bad. Looks like they've just stolen the images off the internet. If I was to speculate, I'm not going to claim that's what they did. I'm just saying that's what it looks like. Images of women singing into a microphone, images of other things. In the middle of the game is just a really ugly looking music game. So discover more. Maybe we'll hold on to that one. And we'll play this one.
Job done.
Beat the Song is $19.99. I would like to see if the developer says they're AAA games. The only other games they have, one is rated 55% of 130 users, and the other is 72% positive of 11 users. So yeah, this looks like a bit more of a scam than a real game. GameIndustry.biz has an article, GameStop shares plummet as buyout deal fails to materialize. With no sign of retailers' troubles abating, shares fall 9.9%. So GameStop is not doing great, and Toys R Us is already out of business in the United States. If GameStop went out of business, we're definitely gonna be in a weird position that would just push people and force people to buy all video games digitally or through online stores, because there's not going to be any kind of national place like where of the name of a store that sells video games that will be in every city of even moderate sizes. GameStops in general are everywhere, and they underemploy a lot of people, and underemploy being the key phrase there. They don't give them like full-time hours or anywhere near the amount of hours you'd like.
Well played.
Let's see, she didn't let me do anything, so use our hero ability. I'm supposed to be using that. There's a game on Steam called A Son of Salt. It says it's a sexual content, violent indie game. It looks to me like it's a visual novel, but it's not even getting labeled as that. Like, maybe people have wised up to not even say that they're playing visual novel, that their game is a visual novel. See, and I'm willing to skip that. Tavern Brawl for the European account is going to be back in 2 hours, and I'm willing to re-roll this potentially tomorrow and save it for Friday. Maybe I'll probably save the Tavern Brawl for Friday, so we're already to the Asian account, And if I really just burn through these games, I think we'd probably be done with the news too. And that's a nice short stream for me. Let's see. What do I want to say about A Son of Salt? It is a Western animator, in my opinion, but it's good. It's a good, slightly anime style. Let me see how long I've been streaming. Did I set the timer? No, it's been about an hour anyways, which is good because I need to run to the bathroom. So this is the perfect time to end this recording. As always, I ask you to Son of Salt, just I'll talk about in the next recording. It looks like it might get wishlisted. Let's see, it's only in English. It's 10% off for $4.49. It looks like it might be worth it. Let's see if it's the first game from this developer. I'll put it on the wish list and be generous. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. I'll be back in just a few minutes. Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, August 29th. We are, I believe, on the European account. Yes, we are. I've done some tweaks to OBS and I'm playing around with a program plugin called Automatic. No, it's not Automatic, it's called Advanced Scene Switcher. There's a built-in function called Automatic Scene Switcher, but Advanced is more advanced, thus the name. It does occur to me I could program it to, whenever I leave and go to the bathroom or anything, I could program it to go to a "will be right back" screen, maybe bring the text all the way up, maybe play a video in the background. That is something I guess I could think about. It wouldn't be very fancy because I'm only gonna spend maybe 20 minutes on it though. I wouldn't by default make a super intricate idle screen as it was for no reason. I need to trade something, so the question is, do I hate playing rogue more than I hate playing mage? I'm gonna get rid of rogue and divine shield minions, which will be interesting to see how that works either. Start with this. Also, the Asian account won't have the Tavern Ball back until 3 hours, and European account won't have the Tavern Ball back for 2 hours, so there's, let's see, can I play Zoo Warlock? I was having some success with that. I can, yes. Let's try this. I don't have a ton of news, but I kind of also just want to burn through the news and be done with it. So let's go ahead and start covering this. We have a game on Steam called 360 No Scope. It looks like it's basically a neon asset flip game, low effort game. I don't even know if you really call this an asset flip because it's just neon boxes. So what was there really to flip? So that's really where the extremely low effort descriptor is better. Regardless, this is a multiplayer game, so I would never play it anyways. It's 25% off for $77.49. I think this is, yes, it's the first game from this developer, and I see nothing here that would convince me to play 360 No Scope or convince me to say that even fans of shooting games should play that. Next game we have on Steam is called Code 51 Mecha Arena. It's an action massive multiplayer simulation RPG game. Let's see, it's set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Arena game is a pilot. You put it on your VR headset, sit in the cockpit, and drive the giant mech, fight your foes. Unlike most VR shooter games, you won't need to play in a stand position or move around. So this is a VR game. Let's see. It says it's ESRB rated for teen, which is questionable. I can take this and then play this and do this. So kind of the only thing I can do right now would be to play this and attack here. So I'm just kind of waiting to play this character so then I can play this character and gain +5 attack on one turn. Which, that's really the only reason why this character even exists. Let's see, I almost wonder if I should wait until later. Let's see, what does this mecha game look like? It looks like it's fine, but being an arena shooter, it makes it a little weird because mecha games, I wouldn't really say that they're arena style games, I would say that you're more in something closer to an open world. Like it may be a closed off arena technically, but you wouldn't call it that. Regardless, the game is a multiplayer and requires VR, so I have no interest in it, but Code 51 is 20% off for $15.99, which is about 3 times you would normally pay for a VR game, and I'm seeing almost a Borderlands style of animation on it. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna wait till the 7th turn. I can't immediately hate this game, but I can immediately dismiss it. Something you might want to check out if you have VR, particularly since you probably are not too opposed to spending a lot of money if you do have VR headset. Gematsu has an article, The Game Paradise: Cruisin' Mix Special announced for the PS4 update. Let's see, update to the 27 released shoot 'em up includes Tetsujin collaboration. So let me read the update here. Adjacent minions +2/+2. Let's see. New features in the Game Paradise Cruising Mix special include arranged background music, 2 new Claris bombs, collaborative with Top-of-Land's Tetsujin, including the spaceship playable character and weapon character. Yeah, this is just a non-story because I don't think this bullet hell shooter game is ever coming to the West anyways, and this update is not adding anything to the story, so let's move on.
How long can this go on? How long can this go on? Mushroom!
Crystallize!
We've got a game on Steam called Blood City. It looks like it's a platformer style game. It also looks like it's very not smooth platforming. Seems like the character slides all over the place. It seems like it's trying to homage or rip off Castlevania with some special effects that certainly couldn't have been in the early NES Castle Effects games. But I don't think that it's succeeding here. Little bits of it look cool, certainly, but just watching the player in the video struggle to accomplish their goals is the problem. This. Deal this. Deal this.
Fails. Try crystal.
This.
Science. Well done.
There's 10 damage. Blood City is 25% off for $2.24, so they're not asking a lot. They already know it's not that great of a game. But I think it's also an ultimately very easy to skip game. This developer's made 2 other games that came out in 2016, neither of which ever got enough reviews to even get rated. So yeah, it's easily skippable. Gematsu has an article, Conception TV anime begins airing October 9th, key visual and cast revealed. I wanted to look at this because I'm pretty sure that there's a game that's been announced based on this. The name of it's Conception, so who knows what it's really about. Let's see.
Easy picking. Someone call for the doctor.
Let's see.
It's playtime.
I can play 4 damage and win. So a win. There you go. Yeah, brief introduction. It says Grandvania, magical world corroded by impurity. Itsuki Yugi, who is summoned from Earth to the heavens to purify the impurity. So I assume this is an isekai, another world anime, which are way too popular. At least, maybe they're not popular, but a lot of them get made. Must participate in love ceremonies with 12 maidens of the stars in order to give birth to star children. In order to carry out my mission, give birth to my children. So,
Doomhammer, your soul shall be mine.
I didn't think Game Master just talked about anime, though. Like, that's not at their top bar. They have a top bar with PS4, Xbox One, Switch, 3DS, PS Vita, PC Store, browse games. Okay, yes, there is, I'm noticing, a game related to this. They just have a link. So there will be some kind of video game, I think. Almost certainly it's a visual novel. It could be a JRPG conception. Probably not coming to the West. That certainly is a story that has some connotation to it that will have to delicately be danced around in some areas. Let's see. Gematsu also has an article, Tokyo Ghoul Rebirth coming west this fall. I believe this is probably the other second season of Tokyo Ghoul that I've heard is a lot better than the first season. Like, I tried to watch Tokyo Ghoul and didn't see anything there that interested me. Which happens a lot with anime in general, is that my ambition to watch any anime is often quickly smoldered and lost. And I'll watch like one episode and go, nah, no interest. Or I'll watch one episode and skip to the final episode and say, does this story go anywhere? And often the answer is no, it really doesn't.
How long can this go on? How long
Let's see.
can this go on?
The game is known as Tokyo Ghoul Reinvoke in Japan. It's coming to iOS and Android. And, like, what kind of game is it? Probably. If I was to guess, it's probably some kind of card collecting
I wonder.
style game. No, it seems like it's a dungeon crawler style game. And it's actually rather flashy for a cell phone game.
I wonder.
It says it's a 6-person tap combo system with an in-depth leveling system. Doesn't look too bad for a cell phone game, honestly, if you're into Tokyo Ghoul.
So many possibilities.
Okay, we can play this, and then now let me play this, and then now let me play this, and now let me do this, and that. Next, we have a game on Steam called Touchdown Football Solitaire. So it's a football-themed solitaire game, which doesn't look incredibly good, honestly. And since I have no interest in American football or soccer and world football, I have no interest in any kind of football. I'm in a weird position here. I think you probably could find better better solitaire games out there than this. Let's see how much it is. It has 20 achievements. It's 15% off for $4.24. I think that's asking way too much from this developer. Let's see. This developer has already released a game called Chef Solitaire USA, Home Run Solitaire, Legends of Solitaire, Curse of Dragons, Cynic Christmas Solitaire. Some of these games are rated positively. I'm not 100% surprised, but he's got about 5 solitaire games that he's released for $5. Nobody needs more than one solitaire game. In fact, frankly, everybody should just be getting the solitaire with Windows still, and it's a hard justification to do anything different. Okay. Get that. And then I kind of want to just hold on to everything. Let's see if we could get Light Warden, but I don't think I think I've already played them all. So just do that. Next game we have on Steam is called Fear the Wolves. It's early access action adventure. It's a they say it's a competitive battle royale first-person shooter. Set in Chernobyl. Looks like it's a little too close to an asset flip first-person shooter game. It's got some detail to it, certainly. It's mixed reviews of 43% of 227 users. This developer's made one other game that has mixed reviews also. So yeah, I think this is an easy game to ignore. So close that. Not really gonna have too many games. Too many games to put on my wish list today, which is fine by me. GameIndustry.biz has an article. The company Poll to Win restructures into 3 regions. Service Forum appoints new presidents for Asia, Europe, and North America, and India. So North America and India are combined. Oxford comma there. What's interesting here, it says a service forum appoints it, so it almost sounds inherently like what happened there is that Poll to Win is in bankruptcy or has been taken over by the creditors.
Your soul shall be mine.
And there's literally no article here. It just says click here to go to Poll to Win's own website and read their article. I've never heard of Poll to Win, so they're probably not a big deal company anyways, but some kind of video game company clearly. Let's see. Your Gamer has a article, PES Pro Evolution Soccer 2019 review. Patience on the pitch, a shambles off of it, and clopped out. I don't know what any of that means, but my guess is that Pro Evolution Soccer 2019 is not that great. It doesn't seem like they're giving them a number. I'm not seeing it immediately. Just play this in return. Yeah, I'm not seeing any kind of number or review wrap up so far. Let me look at the bottom. Yeah, the final paragraph says, despite it all, keep thinking about the football. You know, the actual football. It really is a marvel, and it marvels so much. So much good comes from it. Gorgeous passes, stunning shots, realistic tackles. But it finds itself stifled by a football game that's stuck in the dark ages. So yeah, they don't like Pro Evolution Soccer 2019. Let's do this. Hey, there we go.
Face the light.
Let's do this. In return. Next we have a game on Steam called Piano Bar. It says it's a casual music noir single player game. Piano Bar is a music rhythm game where you come into a game as a professional piano player who performs in cocktail lounges, playing jazz music to make a living. Play the perfect melody to catch young ladies' attention, and who knows, maybe you'll get lucky. So it seems like the keyboard gameplay on this
In the light's name.
just has you typing a lot of keys.
Someone call for the doctor.
Let's see.
Someone call for the doctor.
Let's keep on powering up this guy. So I'm seeing screens here of different women drawn in a kind of Western style, bigger cleavage and thinner waist than is realistic. It's not terrible. And then on the right is just a guy kind of in shadow who's the piano player. And so it seems like this is a one-screen game where just the lady changes and the music notes change, and that is it. And how much do they want for this game? That's available in English, German, Simplified Chinese, Portuguese, and Russian. It's 30% off for $4.89. I don't think so. Like, I do not think for a second that's a good investment of money to.
How long can this go on?
Face the light.
Let's go ahead and take out one of these guys.
Job's done.
Yep, this is not a game worth owning, it looks like. Developers made a few other games, but most of them all seem like they're more musical based demo things instead of a game. Let's see. This.
How long can this go on? How long can this go on?
Face the light.
This. See, I want to win here,
Free me!
but you really have to play kind of strategically with this pain wallet. Next game we have is a game called Me Smart Orc. Me Smart Orc is a short choose-your-own-adventure text game. We haven't seen text games in a while. I end up having to block almost every text game that I see, or otherwise it just continuously gets recommended to me. And I'm sorry, I just cannot consider a text-based game a game. Me Smart Orc is free, so the price is right, certainly, but I just don't think, in my definition of what a video game is, an audio-visual interactive media, if you do not have audio, if you do not have visual, and you are only barely interactive, you're at least 2 out of 3 out of what I consider an acceptable range for games.
Stop copying me! Stop copying me!
Face the light.
Free me! Free me!
Let's see. Yeah, Me Smart Orc, no interest to that. Gematsu has an article, Love Plus Every delayed to an unannounced release date in Japan. Konami apologizes for the smartphone game's repeated delays. Let's see. So, so clearly this Love Plus smartphone game is not going well. Love Plus Every. Let's see. Here's a trailer. I'd like to kind of know what kind of game it is. I'm just seeing anime girls playing tennis, which that very much might be where the Love Plus double entendre name is coming from. Somehow it's like a tennis dating game. Yeah, it seems like it's probably a dating game where you basically have a virtual girlfriend, a virtual pet type character, like a Tamagotchi. Go and take the victory. Want to get as many victories as possible. Win streak bonuses, sure. We have seen a lot of them this month. That being said, like, I don't spend enough time between the 3 accounts to really get up to rank 17, 16. My only real hope is that I just slowly crawl upward and make it to those higher ranks, but I'm not sure. Next we have a game on Steam called Planets. It says it's an early access action adventure RPG. To me it looks like it's a unfinished, unpolished space game of some sort. Seems to be, there's docking, it seems like there's space stations and shooting and fighting and kind of looks like FTL, but not as polished as even FTL looked, and FTL certainly wasn't amazing graphics. Anyways, let's see how much it is. Early access, $9.99 with no discount. And this developer has made nothing else, so easy enough to ignore that game.
In the light's name.
Next game we have on Steam is Blade Strangers from Nicholas Incorporated, as far as the publisher at least. It's from Studio Sen as the developer. Blade Strangers is one of what feels like at least 3 games that have indie characters fighting each other. Blade Strangers is a 2.5D fighting game. It's not a Smash Brothers type game, which is the Shovel Knight 4th DLC is a Smash Brothers game. Let's see. What's funny is
Shields up.
one of the characters is like a kid that has a pink backpack from one of the games, and she's fighting several other characters that are all weird looking. The Binding of Isaac character and Shovel Knight are both in Blade Strangers. Isaac is scaled up quite a bit. This is an interesting combination for a fighting game. It feels like something that, even if it's just for a joke, people might want to play at some point, but there's also possibly a good game in all of this.
Face the light.
And in turn, let's see. Blade Strangers right now is mostly positive with 71% of 35 users. This is a game that definitely needs to go on my wish list just because I'm a fan of Binding of Isaac. It's 25% off for $29.99. I think as more people play this game, people will get us more reviews. First review I see says not recommended. It says this game is just okay at the moment in training mode. If you use stick right 2 or left 2, you always set the menu and restart instead of letting you change the keys around. Interesting. So yeah, it may not be a great game.
Can this go on? How long can this go on? Job's done.
End of the chain. Says mission mode is buggy. Game feels clunky. The game seriously needs a lot of work before I can justify $40, even $30. So yeah, Blade Strangers might be a bad game in a flashy package, which a lot of fighting games certainly could be like. Where, like, a lot of fighting games kind of suck. Let's see. Destroy a minion. This. That's not what I wanted to do.
Fails. Try this.
Gematsu has an article, Idola Phantasy Star Saga debut trailer. That's IDOLA Phantasy Star Saga. So I assume that this was part of the Phantasy Star series, like Phantasy Star Online. This is a RPG for smartphones, iOS and Android, coming out in 2018 in Japan. Yeah, it's more of a flat 4-team RPG, it looks like. Again, not too bad looking. Some of these games are starting to look rather good for the mobile phone. I'm not sure if they play very well. Like right now, my mobile phone has... Oh, I don't even need to be playing as the Warlock. I need to be playing as either the Mage or Divine Shield minions. Let's see what happens if I play Odd Paladin. Like, my cell phone updated and it now allows YouTube to do a picture over picture, so I can watch YouTube videos while doing other things on my phone. But YouTube and that update are just not cooperating very well, so often it just screws up my phone in general and locks it up, and I'm having to restart my whole phone, which sucks. But it's not too bad, and I'm getting a lot of benefit of the picture over picture things. Like Clash Royale can be played. There's a Divine Shield minion right there. Simply while watching and catching up. I have hit a point now where I'm getting too much YouTube in my life for the amount of work I need to and want to be doing. So that's certainly something to think about. Maybe I should be a little bit more picky about what I watch, and but maybe not. I need to make some adjustments in my decision making as far as entertainment. Meanwhile, I look over to my left and see my bookshelves of at least dozens of anime DVDs I have never opened or looked at.
The light protects me.
Job's done.
Let's see. Moving on, Gematsu has an article, Sega trademarks Judge Eyes and Shinigami no Yugon in Japan. Perhaps connected to an older Jinx trademark. Let's see. So Judge Eyes and Shinigami the Yugon. Yeah. I don't know what Yugon, Y-U-I-G-O-N means. Shinigami means gods of death. Anybody who's watched Death Note would know that. Says Judgei Shinigami no Yugon. It translates to Will of the Shinigami in Japan. Back in July, Sega filed a trademark for Jinx or Jinx Shinigami no Yugon. So it seems like they may have dropped the Jinx name. They're saying Sakura Wars in the comments might be. See, and from a Western perspective, if only heard the phrase Shinigami in Death Note, my mind just says, well, obviously it's a Death Note game of some sort. Obviously that's what it is. It can't possibly be something different. But it seems like it almost certainly is. Moving on, PC Gamer has an article. AMD's Senior Vice President of Computing and Graphics, Jim Anderson, has left the company. Anderson is the 4th AMD exec to leave in the past 9 months. So AMD's not doing good as far as retaining people in charge. There was a question about why NVIDIA didn't just make its own CPUs, and on Reddit, and they were explaining how AMD and Intel are cross-licensing the x86 instruction set and the x64 or x86 64 instruction set.
Deploying countermeasures. That's not a valid target.
Let's see. Let's just swap these. So, if NVIDIA was to make any CPUs, it couldn't be a regular PC CPU that would just run programs. It would be more like an ARM chip of some sort, and they actually have done that. That is the NVIDIA Tegra CPU that is inside the Nintendo Switch. So they have done it, but just not in a way that people can buy an NVIDIA CPU and put it into a motherboard. The quote here, I already talked about this article, is PAX West, this is a PC Gamer article, PAX West organizers comment on security concerns following the Jacksonville shooting. Quote, "We have in place extensive proactive measures," PAX organizers reassure. Now, the thing, unless things have changed at PAX, is that
Reporting for duty.
I think almost all of those quote-unquote enforcers at PAX are just volunteers, and so that might lead to a slight decrease in security or just consistency in following procedures. PAX is probably a place that would be targeted. A lot of people and probably some lax security. Maybe they're really going to tighten it up. Again, I don't really know any I don't really know why you'd want to go to PAX, but it's there, I suppose. People that do.
The battle!
Just gonna keep on playing.
The battle!
For justice!
Reporting for duty.
There's a part here I can quote. It says, everyone attending this show should be aware of the following security measures. Security will be on site at all times to assist you during all aspects of the show, which is good. Everyone must wear their show badge at all times. That's probably always the case. This includes exhibitors, vendors, attendees, guests, speakers, talents, and artists, professionals, press, staff, and crew. A fully operational security team following our vetted procedures is in place at the show. That's almost saying the exact same thing as the first statement. Let's see.
I wonder.
Reporting for duty. To battle!
Alright, we've got people that we're gonna have to deal with first.
To battle! To battle! To battle! To battle!
Let's see. Bag checks may occur at the show. Walkthrough or handheld scanners may be used at the show. May be used, okay. Any CCTV in operation at the show is monitored and recorded.
I wonder what this does.
Uninformed and under... I guess maybe that's uniformed? That's not how you spell uniformed, is it? And undercover security may be in attendance at the show. Well, anytime it says may, I'm almost wondering is the answer to that may they aren't? Because I kind of think we might be playing with some words here. Like, also, all this increased security very well might cost them a ton of money. And K9 security and detection may be used in or around the show. Like, a lot of that stuff just says, we've invited the police to be here and they'll show up if they want to. It's kind of vague. Why say anything? I guess maybe that's why it's so vague. Next game we have on Steam is called Strange Brigade. I saw a quick look on Giant Bomb of this. It looks like it's kind of an interesting game. It's kind of like a British 1 to 4 players zombie shooting game, first person shooters. Seems like it has some more puzzles and some interactable environments, and it's sort of a Left 4 Dead style gameplay where you get groups together and then you play through small episodes.
Reporting for duty.
It looks very interesting. I own Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. It is a game series I'd like to play at some point, but it is also a game series that I have some real questions about. Just how would I cover a game like that, and how much actual information or criticism can I give to a game like that that so vastly changes based on who you're playing with. When I was playing Left 4 Dead just before I was a YouTube streamer, yeah, there was definitely different experiences based on were you playing with a good team or a bad team. Did somebody on the team know exactly what to do and tell everybody what to do and ruin the fun? Or did everybody just run around and get themselves killed? It says it's a single player game, so I guess I'd just have to play it in single player mode, which doesn't look too bad. It says pre-order for free content. I think you need to re-evaluate your definition of free if you have to pre-order and spend money. Because that's not free. It also has de nouveau anti-tamper in it. So this game, Strange Brigade, right now is $49.99. The deluxe edition is $79.99. That includes a weapons packs and season pass. This game is really, really expensive. It's a shame because it looks like it's a game that actually might be worth playing, but I also don't think that, like, when I start to think about it, I don't think that Left 4 Dead was ever that expensive. It was part of the orange box. I just don't think it was that expensive ever. It was probably only about $5. maybe Left 4 Dead 2 got sold separately for $30, but relatively speaking, spending $80 seems crazy. This is from developer Rebellion, the Sniper Elite developers, and Rogue Trooper developers, and several other games. I am going to put this game, Strange Brigade, in my wishlist because it is good looking, but it would be a very, very hard decision to actually purchase it.
Reporting for duty.
Repent!
The battle! The battle!
Gamasutra has an article, report, analyzing player preferences from the US games market. Let's see. There's a section here that says the record split players into 6 sections. 14% are console warriors who spend most of their time playing multiplayer action games.
Converting stored energy. I don't have enough mana.
11% are transitionals, adults who spent their lives playing games but now squeeze the hobby into their lives. So I imagine that there is probably a high number of transitional people who... Oh, this sucks.
Reporting for duty.
I have like no way of killing this guy without dying myself. 13% are super gamers who are very invested, hardcore players. Interesting names they're using here. It's not great indicators, and just stupid titles. 17% are early, easy accessors, young players who mostly play whatever is most accessible, often mobile games. 19% are daily dabblers, older players who regularly spend time with social and casual games. And 26% are incidental players who play mobile games occasionally. Which then the question boils down to, do those percentages actually equal 100%? Because I am not sure they do. Let's see, 5, 15... yeah. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 7.
I must move quickly.
That does seem like that breaks down into 100%. So either they're ignoring
Converting stored energy.
ignoring people who don't play any games, or there are no people who play games. Let's see. This article's not very long. This report says players spend an average of $55 on games in the last 6 months, spending on an average of 12 hours a week playing games. 30% of people surveyed only use mobile devices, while 59% using mobile device as well as PC or console. 27% use mobile device, a PC, and a console. I don't do a console. This is all data based on Polygon. The survey says 67% of Americans play video games. So, and see, that number is actually, I think, probably too low. I wouldn't be surprised if there is maybe some stigma or reasons why people would say that they never play a video game. They may not realize it, but you play games. You definitely do. If you're playing solitaire, you're playing video games. Like, I've met probably hundreds of people in my life, and only one person that I honestly believe doesn't play video games. And that's because it turned out they had a thyroid issue that made perception of time
Well played.
feel awkward and slowed down.
The battle.
Moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article. Publisher 505 Games takes over support of Roll7's Laser League. Ollie Ollie developer Roll7 is stepping away from the support for the latest release of Laser League to reflect and re-energize. Interesting, so basically they're just abandoning it. I almost wonder, is 505 Games owned by Tencent? And is Roll7 also owned by Tencent? Laser League certainly is not a game that has blown up the video game world, so maybe they just abandoned it quickly, as quickly as possible.
Access denied.
Well played.
Reporting for duty.
Mushroom punch!
We have a game on Steam called Last Tide. It's an early access violent action first-person shooter. This is the underwater in scuba gear first-person shooter where you're surrounded by sharks and occasionally attacked by them. It's rated mostly positive, 79% for 269 users. Early access is $14.99 with no discount. It's an online multiplayer only, so I have no interest in it. But it is out now in early access, so if you ever wanted to play a first-person shooter underwater for some crazy reason, that is now an option.
Reporting for duty.
Next game we have on Steam is called The Great Geometric Multiverse Tour. It says it's an action-adventure single-player game. What this looks like to me, though, is some crazy, blocky, low polygon
The light protects me.
assets that normally I'd call it an asset flip, but I don't even know what you call this now. It's just like random polygons in a first-person shooter game. It doesn't look interesting. It's $12.99 for no discount. Let's see. And it's the first game from that developer, so yeah, moving on. Let's see. This, and this.
Reporting for duty. For justice.
And anything I
Well
do
played.
That's
kills
not
me.
a valid target.
So in the turn. PC Gamer has an article. Owlboy's creator Chrono Break Mockup is a beautiful teaser. Owlboy creators Chrono Break is the name of another game that he made a mock-up for. It's a beautiful teaser for a sequel that will never exist. Let's see. Chrono Break being a game that was supposed to be a sequel to Chrono Trigger 15 years ago. So why is Owlboy even wasting the Owlboy creator wasting their time with that? I didn't really love Owlboy as a game anyways, but I think he would be much better making his own games. If he wants to be heavily inspired by Chrono Trigger, that is fine. But, you know, doing these speculation teasers for games you'll never get the license for is no way to is no way to get the license. And a Chrono Trigger sequel 15 years later is not going to come to a random person. It might come to a Japanese developer who worked on Chrono Trigger if they wanted to be involved in it, but getting permission as a foreigner is pretty much impossible. YouTube had a tweet that I wanted to mention. You can now track how much time you spend watching YouTubes, so it's easier than ever to know when to take a break, which is apparently there's a time in the watch history, and there is a toggle in the options that says remind me to take a break. Which certainly doesn't help creators. Last thing we need is YouTube telling people to stop watching our content. I mean, they already do that with the algorithm plenty. But I also, in general, want people to be mentally healthy and happy, and I don't want people to get so obsessed with watching YouTube that they're negatively impacting their lives. Moving on, PC Gamer has an article, Google engineers, PhD students, and child geniuses meet the new breed of Hearthstone pros. So this is PhD student Bunny Hopper is on his way to the 2018 Hearthstone Summer Championship last month, and let's see. I'm trying to just see pictures here and see if there's anything. Google software developer Shoop, S-H-O-O-P, becoming DreamHack Austin's champion last year. So yeah, a lot of people like Hearthstone and play it. Not
for justice.
Not a super surprising revelation, right? It doesn't seem, just skimming this article though, that there's anything else for them to really say. It's just a name drop 3 people who I suppose we should hold them in high esteem, although there's not a lot of reason to. Just because you're a Google engineer doesn't inherently mean you deserve esteem. Just because you're a PhD student doesn't mean you deserve esteem, and just because you've been labeled a child genius by somebody somewhere doesn't mean you deserve people's esteem. If anything, they should all deserve esteem for as far as they have made it in Hearthstone and their success there, or their success in actually doing other things. Hey, we've got another one of these mobile phone driving games on Steam called Deadly Wheels. It's not a lot of detail, no real background areas, barely any kind of user interface. Seems like they're saying it's a casual simulation RPG. Seems like all it is to me is a game where you're driving a car around and shooting maybe some other things. It's 40% off for $1.19.
Mushroom power! Deploying countermeasures.
Yeah, I have no interest in Deadly Wheels. First game from that developer. The next game we have on Steam is called Lucid Path. It looks like an RPG maker. It says it's an RPG indie single player 2D pixel graphics game. We've stopped seeing RPG maker games come out, so I'm wondering if perhaps games with the tag RPG maker are also getting held back on Steam. Maybe almost all games are getting held back on Steam now. It really wouldn't be a terrible thought, but they should tell them how long is expected to wait, and have their systems tied in now. Lucid Path is $4.99. I don't see anything here that interests me. So is that. Let's see. This.
Reporting for duty.
And should have played this actually.
For justice.
About to die. Next game we have on Steam is called Ether Adrift, A-E-T-H-E-R, Drift. Not A-Drift, just Drift. I said it wrong. And it looks like a bullet hell shoot 'em up game, although it seems like it's more of a top-down hack and slash game. if I was to describe it. Either way, the graphics don't look very good. Played enough Divine Shield minions. One more Divine Shield minion. Let's see. We need to hurry up too. It's been an hour and yeah, Aether Adrift is $14.99. No thank you to that. First game from that developer. There's a game called War Smiles vs. Ghost. It says it's an action adventure game. To me it looks like it's a Russian troll, very low effort game. Yeah, it's only in Russian. It's not even in English. So I kind of wonder if sometimes these Russian troll games are actually targeted at other Russians. Some kind of money laundering scheme, or if it's just perhaps the standards of quality are way lower. Rock Paper Shotgun has an article. Little Briar Rose is a stained glass fairy tale that is out now. So let's see if we can find where it is out now. I'll skip through this trailer. Yeah, it looks like an interestingly animated point-and-click adventure. Okay, it is. Yeah, it's on Steam. It's 83% positive of 43 users.
Reporting for duty.
Let's see. English, Italian, Spanish. That's an interesting combination. $4.99. I'll put this one on my wish list. Next article, we already said Volition was hiring one job. Deep Silver Volition is hiring a senior writer. Maybe that's a different company. Like the other company we saw was just called Volition. Just keep on playing. So that's in Champaign, Illinois. That job is, if you're interested. Gamatsu has an article. City management game Buildings Have Feelings 2 has been announced for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Is there any release date? Late spring 2019. Seems like the buildings will grow legs and arms and start walking on their own. And then you control a bunch of stickmen.
I don't need any of you.
Let's see. Here.
The battle.
So we'll get some more information about Cities Have Built Feelings too.
Out of my jungle!
Gamatsu has an article. The Walking Vegetables: Radical Edition announced for the PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. That's not PC. Looks like it's a top-down shooter game where you're shooting vegetables. Oh, it's already on Steam, and it's been on there since September 2017. September 27th, 2017. It's rated positive, 97% positive on 41 user reviews. And see, that is a weird thing here, is that if I start saying games from September don't deserve my attention, it's kind of not true. Because these indie games are giving it another try to get attention on the Switch. Because clearly, for years now, there have been small indie games that have not gotten any kind of foothold on Steam. So I have to wishlist The Walking Vegetables, just to keep an eye on it at least. Gamatsu has an article. Origami Shadow Edition has been announced for the Switch. Origami, I believe, has a Steam version. And I don't think the Shadow Edition... it says the Shadow Edition includes the base game, the Nightfall expansion and all available downloadable content, it seems kind of likely that DLC is not a high priority for the Switch. The game and expansion both support full 2-player online co-op that's compatible cross-platform. Origami, another game that I want to play. Oh yes, and I cannot find what my old gamer tag is, but I imagine I've lost it. The problem here is I've lost access to the email account that I made my old Xbox Live gamer tag with, and because of that and Microsoft's terrible passwords and email recovery systems, there's like no way for me to get access to get access to the account. The good news though is that I think if I was to plug in my Xbox 360, I'd still be able to get my profile and auto login in there, and still play my games. But maybe not. I'm a little too afraid to check. And I'm now at the Humble store, and their digital tabletop bundle, which I talked about earlier, is going on, and the Humble Spooky bundle, what's it called, Spooky Horror bundle, still going on. And those are the only 2 game bundles we have, which is fine.
Let me think.
So.
Reporting for duty.
And return. And then that just leaves me back to my Twitter account. And I'll start scrolling down my Twitter account and see if there's anything here. Today happens to be like the 25th or 40th anniversary. Yeah, it's 40th anniversary of the Lego minifig. Not very much video game related, but interesting nonetheless.
Mushroom power! Reporting for duty.
Let's see. How are we gonna do this? Let's do that one. That one. OBS has a studio progress report.
Our adventures shall never end. Our adventures shall never end.
Let's see. Splunky 2 has Your Gamer has a first look at Splunky 2's expanded subterranean gameplay. If anybody wants to see that, you can get on the hype train for Splunky 2. Let's see.
I dream and the world.
I need to play one Divine Shield minion, I'm pretty sure. And I'm not sure I have. PC Gamer has an article. Bethesda talks Fallout 76 beta and launch. No battle plan survives contact with the enemy. There's a quote. Oh, it's a quote of a quote, I suppose. Shall we continue scrolling down and see if there's anything really important to talk about? Digital Foundry put a bunch of ray tracing videos up on YouTube, but you may not even see much of a difference on YouTube. You might be forced to transition yourself to their website to get higher quality videos.
Converting stored energy.
See, There's a $9,000 Predator Orion battle station at PAX West that's up to win. Imagine you have to be at PAX West. You probably maybe have to do something more than just be there. There we go. There's a divine shield.
But we fight
For justice.
Let's see.
Reporting for duty. Reporting for duty.
There we go. I could attack the guy, or I couldn't. Could not. I'll just not. We'll talk about that. This article on Friday. Tavern Brawl and the European Tavern Brawl. All set the way. All needing to be done on Friday. But that's gonna be it for now. I got enough done. I'm cool. I can now possibly take a nap and or start scheduling some videos that really need to be scheduled. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, I am asking people to friend me on Steam and gift me a game. Or you can look at the description of this video and go to my Patreon. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.